Hello everyone, welcome back to the Budget Sportsman. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Behind me you can probably see that I have quite a few blinds set up from TideWe, and today I want to walk through them and try to help you determine which one might be right for you. To be honest, if you go to TideWe's website and you look at their blinds, they've got a bunch of options, more even than what I have here, and it can be kind of overwhelming and confusing. So I want to walk you through at least the models that I have available to me here and try to help you make an informed buying decision. Now before we dive in, I do want to be clear that TideWe has sent me all these blinds over the years for review. Some of them I already have dedicated reviews of on the channel, and a few of them are brand new that we're going to be comparing today. I also want to say that even though they did send these for free, I'm not getting paid to make these videos, but I do get a commission if you use my coupon code TBS18, and that will save you 18% on just about everything on TideWe's website. Now, they did tell me recently that some of these new blinds are more expensive and they're not able to offer that 18% discount code. So if you try the TBS18 code and it doesn't work, go ahead and try TBS12 to see if you can at least save 12% off of your purchase. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into all of these ground blinds. So first, let's take a look at the different blinds we're going to look at today. And I'll be honest, I can never remember the names of these blinds either, so I'll be sure to put the names up on screen along with the price, and I'll put links in the description down below. First up on the far left is what I'm calling the classic TideWe blind. This is the see-through blind that you can see through from top to bottom on 3 of the 4 sides. Next up is what I'm going to just call the double classic. You have 2 blinds that zip together that you can see through the mesh as well. And then the third one here, you're going to notice is significantly bigger, and it is see-through on 3 of the 4 sides as well, but it's much larger and it has a different window configuration as well as a much different door configuration. And finally, down here on the end is a very big, very heavy, durable blind. It is not see-through material except for the fabric over the windows, and it does have a unique entry as well. So with that quick overview out of the way, let's go ahead and start down here with the classic blind and let's take a look. All right, so first up is this blind that we're calling the classic blind. This blind is pretty lightweight and portable. It weighs under 15 pounds with the bag and all the included accessories. This is advertised as a 2 to 3 person blind. It has a footprint of a little bit under 60 inches in each dimension and about 65 inches tall. Now keep in mind, that's a footprint. It is a little bit wider at the hubs where you would be drawing your bow and shooting. Also be aware that they do offer a very similar blind that's advertised as a 3 to 4 person blind with a larger footprint. It would be more similar to the big ones on the end, but more similar to this in its style and functionality. So let's walk around back and let's take a look at the door, and then we'll go inside and look at the windows. The door on this blind is what I'm going to call a half moon shape. Now, if you have a bad back or poor balance, you may have a difficult time getting into this blind. I find for myself that I typically have to take my backpack off and set it inside or pull it in after me so that I can duck through the door without catching on my backpack. So let's jump inside here. Inside the blind, you can see that it has a see-through material, and I apologize that sometimes it does funny stuff on camera, but it looks really good in person. You can see through really well. You'll also see that each of the 3 sides has these long, skinny windows, and you can open the flap from the top or the bottom to adjust exactly the shooting position that you want. Now on the back wall, you just have this one rectangular window, and you have these 2 elastic stays, and you can undo one or both of them. If you undo one, you get this triangle of light, or you can undo both of them and you get a little rectangle to see out the back. There is no see-through fabric anywhere on the back of the blind. Next up, let's move on to the double see-through blind. This blind is basically just 2 of the single blinds that we just looked at. However, they connect together in the middle. Now, let me be clear. You can't just buy 2 of the single ones and connect them. You do have to buy them as the pair in order for this to work. But you can see now I've got them connected together in the middle because one panel off of each blind is removable. So you can use them on their own as individual blinds, and they're going to be very, very close and similar to the single blind we just looked at. Or you can zip them together and have this big, monstrous, massive blind. I do have a whole video on my channel about this blind. Basically, the floor plan and the floor layout is double what we just looked at. So it's about 60 inches front to back approximately, but nearly 120 inches long, and it's still the same 65 inches high. So the interesting thing about this blind is that you're going to get a door out here on the front. It's going to be on this corner here, and then you're going to get a door on the back as well. Now, it's the same half moon door. It's just kind of mirrored because of the way these blinds attach to each other. Now, one thing that you're going to notice is that on each end, instead of having the long skinny windows that the other blind has, it actually has these rectangular shaped windows on each end, while it maintains the long skinny windows on the front. Now, something that's different is they took those long skinny windows, and while the backs are not see-through, you do get these long skinny windows on the back as well. So you've got the opportunity to open and be able to shoot on all four sides of these blinds. It's pretty cool. All right, so I want to show you how truly large this blind is. Watch, I'm going to go to the other end. I mean, how many blinds do you know that you can get up and actually walk around? Okay, to be fair, it's not tall enough to stand up and walk around, but that I can move around this much. This is a truly big blind. I mean, imagine if I lay down right here, my head is just about at the end of the blind on this end, and you can see my feet, and there's probably another 4 feet between the end of my feet and the end of the blind. This is going to be the perfect blind if you want to hunt with quite a few people, or if you just like to lay down and take a nap in the middle of your hunt. All right, so the next blind on the list is this one, and it is a newcomer to me at least, and I think it's relatively new to TideWe as well. Now, it has a lot of the same features as the blinds we've already looked at, but there's a couple of key differences. And the first and probably most obvious one is this is a lot bigger blind. It comes in around 25 pounds with the bag and all the included accessories, but instead of being just shy of 60 inches on its footprint, this is about 70 inches in each dimension at the footprint, and again, wider at the hubs. The other key difference is that this is 78 inches tall to the center hub, meaning that me at 6 foot 1 inches tall can easily stand fully upright in this blind and have a few inches left over. Now, there's another really key feature, and that is the doorway. So let's go around back and take a look at the door. All right, so I apologize for the light and shadows here that might make it a little bit hard to see, but this is what I believe TideWe calls their no-trip door. You can see that it's a tall, thin door, very similar to the door on your house, not quite that big. But in comparison to some of the half-moon shaped doors that are on these other blinds that I already mentioned are a little bit difficult to get into, this one is tall, there's nothing at the floor, it's very easy to just duck down just a little bit and walk right in. Now, you're going to notice that these are all hub-style blinds where the hub pops out, but the reason they're able to achieve this no-trip door is because there is no hub on this back wall. There are 4 fiberglass stakes, one there, one in the middle, one on this side, and one going across the top. They're very similar to tent poles. They fold in half and you have to pull them out for storage. So while this blind is very similar to the others, it does take a little bit longer to set up because of those extra fiberglass poles. And because there's not pressure pushing out on the walls, you are probably more likely going to have to stake this to keep that back wall taut. However, the benefit of it is this door is much easier to get into, especially if maybe you have back problems or knee problems or are just not as agile as you used to be. Now, on the back wall, you do get this one rectangular window, and it has sliders to pull down. You only pull down from the bottom. And then on both sides, you get the same sort of long rectangular windows with top and bottom sliders as you get on the other blinds. Again, that's on both sides. Now on the front, you get something kind of unique here. This is a little bit different than on any of the other blinds. You get this triangular shaped window on the front, and again, it has sliders. They come down from the top, and so you have to pull it all the way down in order to get to the bottom maximum height of that window there, or maximum bottom part of that window there, to be able to shoot all the way at the bottom. Now, the interesting thing about these side windows is you can see they come down significantly further than these other side windows. So if you are going to maybe use this in an elevated situation or up on a hill where you need to shoot down, these side windows are going to allow you to see and shoot a lot lower. One thing to be aware of is you have to bring them down all the way from the top to the bottom and open up that whole thing in order to be able to utilize the bottom part of that window. That is one thing where I really appreciate these sides, where you can open from the top or the bottom and gives you a lot more flexibility. All right, so I did just want to show you that I'm 6 foot 1 inches tall, and I've got quite a few inches here between the top of my head and the top of my blind. That's in the center, but I can walk over here almost all the way to the edge. Right here, I'm hitting my head. If you were, maybe less than 6 feet, you could get over pretty close to the edge, but I can still move around most of the blind here. Now, this blind is pretty unique and pretty cool. I think it's less of a portable blind at 25 pounds than some of the 15-pound blinds are, and because it doesn't have the hub back here, it is something that's going to take a few extra minutes to set up. If you're looking for something that's maybe more of a permanent blind where you're just going to set it up and leave it, I think this might be a great option. If you're a bigger guy, if you want to be able to stand up, you just want a little bit more elbow room in your blind, I think this is a really great option. And if you're willing to put up with the aggravation of the tent pole system back here instead of a pop-out blind, this entryway door is far superior and far more enjoyable to use than those little half moon shapes on the other blinds we've looked at so far. All right, so that brings us down to the final blind. And if I remember correctly, this is called the 360 blind, but I don't want you to be confused by that. See, in the past, TideWe called some of their smaller blinds the 270-degree see-through blind because you could see 270 degrees around the blind or 3 of the 4 sides. So you might be tempted to think that this blind, the 360-degree blind, you can see through on each of the sides. That's not really true, although it kind of is. You'll see in a minute. But this blind does not use the same see-through fabric that all of these other blinds use for the walls. This is a much thicker, heavier, more durable feeling fabric. It feels more like a Cordura almost, not quite, but it's a very thick, durable feeling fabric. With that comes a heavier weight. It weighs about 31 pounds and is a little bit bulkier as well. Now it has the same footprint of the previous blind. It's about 70 inches across in the dimensions of the footprint, a little wider at the hubs with a 78-inch headroom. Now you're also going to notice right there, there's something orange on the roof. That's folded up, but it comes with a complete orange cover that goes over the entire roof. So if you want to use this in rifle season and make sure you've got ultimate visibility, they've got you covered with that orange cover. Now let's go back around and look at the unique entry system on this blind. Now this blind does not have a traditional style door. What it has is a zipper that goes all the way up one side and then out across the top and allows the entire back wall to pivot open. Now this makes for super easy entry. I mean, it opens wide up. You can walk right in, not worrying about a backpack or stooping over very much at all. And this makes for super easy entry. As a matter of fact, I was thinking this might be the perfect blind for somebody who's in a wheelchair or has some kind of a disability, maybe an off-road wheelchair, and needs to get into a blind. This would give the open access to be able to drive right into the blind. However, they would still probably need help to get into this blind because trying to get the zipper all the way across the top from a wheelchair position would be pretty difficult. Now, for me personally, I find messing with the zipper and opening it up the whole way to be a little bit frustrating and annoying. So typically I end up just opening the zipper all the way to the corner on one side and then sort of pushing apart the part of the walls and squeezing in. It's not ideal, but it does work. Now, once inside the blind, you might start to understand why it's called a 360-degree blind. And the reason is because all 4 sides have the exact same window configuration. And yes, you can see 360 degrees around the blind. The important point to note here is that the walls themselves are not see-through like on the other blinds. These are actually dark black walls that are not see-through, but you do get the see-through mesh fabric that are over each of the windows. So each one of the 4 windows are exactly the same, and each one of them have the ability to pull up this panel and cover the window to completely black it out. So you can choose which windows you want to be closed, which windows you want to have the panel pulled down and still have the see-through fabric, and which windows you want to have completely open to be able to shoot out. Now this blind is super unique in the fact that you can see 360 degrees around the blind, and I love that TideWe used the see-through fabric to cover each of the windows if you just want to see out and not necessarily have to shoot out. Now I would caution you that what I found about this see-through fabric is that it's a one-way see-through fabric. In other words, you can see out, but the deer can't see in as long as it's dark inside and there's not light coming from behind that see-through fabric. So my point is, if you want to use see-through fabric on the front, but also have the back open, now there's light going to be coming through, backlighting you, silhouetting you, and there's a good chance the deer are going to see you. I think that's probably the reason why TideWe didn't use the see-through fabric all the way from floor to ceiling to give you a little bit more concealment. But if you use this blind correctly and wisely, I think this is a really cool solution to be able to see and shoot 360 degrees around your blind. So I'd love to hear from you. Which one of these blinds do you think is right for you? I love the portable nature of some of the smaller blinds down at the end, but then for more permanent locations, I really love some of these new bigger blinds. I love the big wide door opening on this blind, and I really think the 360 degree blind is pretty cool as well. So let me know which one is your favorite, which one you think might be right for you. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments, and until next time, remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.